What's up, you guys? Welcome to The Imagination. I'm your host, Emma, and today I'm honored to introduce you all to Hollywood and music industry whistleblower and survivor, entrepreneur and business owner, former member of the pop rock band The Cab, loving father and devoted husband, digital marketing extraordinaire, advocate for autistic children, content creator, and my new friend, Cash Colligan. Cash is here today to talk about his life experiences as a young adult in Hollywood, the music industry, and his journey being signed to a major record label right out of high school at 18 years of age. On the outside, it looked like Cash had hit the lottery. And in Hollywood's terms, he actually had. His boss was Pete Wentz from the iconic band Fall Out Boy, and at one point, he was so close to Wentz that he actually attended Pete and Ashley Simpson's wedding. For those of you who are millennials like me, these names and Cash's story are sure to bring up some nostalgia today. By 20 years old, Cash had already toured the world, partied like a rock star, experienced fame, fortune, popularity, money, and lived a life that so many only dream of. But under the surface of all this money, fame, and facade came years of stress, torment, exhaustion, and ultimately trauma. Hollywood is a topic and industry that is not only trending and popular, but it's also relevant. And I believe Cash's personal testimony can help shine a light on the Hollywood machine and the abusive and traumatizing ways it churns, burns, and exploits children and young adults through at such a rapid pace, leaving these young entertainers and former stars to fend for themselves once the industry discards them and moves on to the next best thing. Out with the old and in with the new. Many artists find their identity in their art, whether it be music, acting, writing, drawing, painting, and so forth. And when that identity is taken from them at such a young age, after years of full-time commitment, praise, and success, it can leave deep scarring, depression, and identity crises as these children and young adults then have to adjust to life outside of Hollywood and figure out who they are without all the labels and outside validation. Cash's story, however, has a happy ending and didn't just stop with Hollywood. Through trauma and over a decade of healing, he has resurrected as a new man, an advocate for autistic children with a 15-year career in digital marketing. He's a father and a devoted husband. And he's also an example of what is and can be on the other side of the darkness we will be talking about today. For the first time, we get to hear Cash's story in full and what actually happened behind the scenes of all the glamour and star-studded picture-perfect life the public saw. The truth about the underbelly of Hollywood and what is on the other side of healing from the trenches of pain, addiction, and deep depression that can occur from being in these industries at such a young age. This intro only scratches the surface of what we'll be talking about today. So you guys grab a pen, paper, and gear up to take some serious notes as we traverse down some new rabbit holes today that we hope will provide other survivors and witnesses hope, healing, and comfort, while also providing education and insights to advocates and trauma-informed helpers alike. Before I finish introducing today's guest, I wanted to give just a couple quick reminders and updates. If you would like to be on the podcast, share any information privately with me, or send me a written testimony for my upcoming book series or to be written in a Substack article, you can email me at imagineabetterworld2020@gmail.com or standbysurvivors@protonmail.com. As some of you know, my YouTube channel was recently terminated, and I've been forced to pivot and use other streaming platforms to get this important information out to the public and disclosure communities. Your support would mean the world to me on platforms like Rumble and X, where I am currently streaming, and I also just started another YouTube channel with the handle of @Imagination Podcast Official that I will be rebuilding, and I would love to have you all subscribe there as well while I figure out my new presence on there and what that will look like in order to dodge the censorship and backlash for speaking out about these difficult topics. Thank you all for helping to make the imagination the safest space on the internet for survivor, whistleblower, advocate, and educator disclosures. So you guys, without further ado, please help me in welcoming today's guest of honor, survivor and autism acceptance advocate, voice for the voiceless, and a man on a mission to help expose the music industry and provide healing for victims, Cash Colligan. Cash, thank you so much for being here with us today.
That was incredible. A, you're welcome. But B, thank you for telling me about my life in a way I've never heard it before. I appreciate that. You did your homework. Appreciate that.
I really appreciate you coming on. I've been excited to connect with you and to share this story. I think, Hollywood's always sort of a trending topic, but I think as a society, whether it be Hollywood or another topic we're going to talk about, which is, autism and bringing awareness to that, I think that there's a lot of very surface level facades that we as a society take in and believe is real about these things. And on the other side, there's really heavy truths and really healing truths that I don't think get out quite as much. And I think a lot of people suffer because of that in ways like you did. So I'm really happy to have you here, really honored to have you on. We have quite a story to talk about today. And I hope all of you on the other side have your popcorn and your notes ready. So I thought we'd start, Cash, if it's okay with you. We'd go back in time and sort of paint the picture of what happened later on in your life by sharing a little bit about your childhood, the family that you grew up in, and maybe some key things on how you sort of got pushed into the path that you did later in life.
I like that. Okay. So I was born March 14th, 1989, in Mesa, Arizona. About 9 months into my birth, came to Las Vegas. So I white lie and tell people I was born and raised in Las Vegas, but I have been here for 35, 36 years. Um, my parents always did a great job loving me. Divorced heading into middle school. I think that happens to a lot of people. I wasn't only child, therefore, maybe a lot of only children can relate to this, but by 1996, 1997 or so, I'm loading in those AOL 2 hour at a time disc and just finding my way on the internet, whether it was chat rooms, forums. And I think back then, and maybe it's like how these kids with Roblox and shit feel nowadays, I didn't realize like I was learning a level of like getting attention or marketing or creating things worth clicking on. Like I thought I was just being funny or like bringing my personality to the internet. And then you're learning growth tactics. MySpace comes along. Your face is now, you're not just a username. You're a accessible profile that's custom. And coming from that generation, I think you just wired a little different to the sense of like maybe you just don't know what you're going through as a kid. Like let's say divorce and people dying and switching schools and these things that probably should be a lot more traumatic at a younger age, you kind of can tuck it away. It's probably why a lot of kids play video games nowadays and da da da. I'm like, ASL, homie, whatever, 2 a.m. Let me just not think about my life and be in these chat rooms and make some internet friends and probably gave my information to a bunch of old men accidentally along the way or whatever, these creeping ass creepers and shit. So um learning that was important. My parents were divorced, so I spent a lot of time when my dad moved to Northern California, raised predominantly by women, I would say. Aunts, my mom, grandma, things of that nature. And looking back on it all, especially now as a father and things of that, understanding that everyone did their best job is like super important to me. Like both parents always made sure that I knew I was loved. And you could think that you had all these things hard or whatever going on as a kid, but I think looking back on it all, like both my parents loved me, and it kind of led me to this path of being supported, getting weird ideas, and not being told that I'm crazy. And I think that was like super important to the process of creativity, which led to, I don't know if kids could relate, like building a playlist in your Xbox console and like throwing my guitar on, no one's home, and I'm blasting my custom set list in my living room and start dreaming of these things and joining music in middle school because they used to do that. I don't even know if there is guitar class anymore for these kids and shit. So um that was cool. Led me down the path of like joining jazz band just so like I could be with the homies. So I like learned a bass guitar. These little things I would do implicated like now I know how to play 5, 6 instruments. Now I have a connection of friends, which is cool. Looking back on it, I probably placed myself into social circles rather than having my own. And I don't know if people can relate to that. Like, everybody, but like nobody's calling you. Like you're not going to this birthday party of this group of people you hang out with, but they all know you and they're going to call you and they need some shit and you have lunch with them, but you're still not like in the group. Like you're not with the baseball kids. You're not with this. Like in theory, I look back on it and I was just like, I was an internet degenerate that like was kind of a chameleon with different groups of people, probably from my social experience on the internet is the best way to probably paint my childhood and understand resourcing and understanding like even when I built the band that we'll talk about in a minute, it all came from like he would be perfect in this exact spot. Let's go over to this group and have this conversation about it. And I think my life's always kind of worked that way. Um, doesn't anymore, but I've noticed that about myself, and that can probably kind of paint the picture of who I am or kind of drive forward how I became so goal oriented, I guess is the best way to put it. Always had a goal.
Did you have a knack for music from kind of as far as you can remember, or when did that start to develop?
I think my parents did a good job. Like I think it started car and the radio. Like I'm probably one of the last generations right now that, cassette tapes or 8 tracks where you had to like listen to the whole thing and shit. So just surrounded by real great like 90s real music. A little bit of hip hop influence. My name was Cash, so I loved like 36 Chambers from Wu-Tang, and like Tupac and Biggie was a big deal when I was a kid. Tupac got shot in my hometown. So um between that steady balance of like hip hop, but also just like great music, like my dad always made it a point to like turn up the guitar solo or like, yo, here comes this chorus, like kind of like what your friends would do. Like my parents had that same energy and love for music. So I think that kind of just like brought that inclination to me to like look for those passionate moments, or this chorus is huge, or wow, this verse has this weird guitar lick that maybe not everyone notices it. I feel like I got that from my parents for sure. And especially my mom's husband now, my stepfather, he's been my stepfather for about 25 years. Great man. Bought me my first guitar in the 6th grade. And he was very into that 90s country. So like I had a big exposure to like your Alan Jacksons, your all the Brooks and Dunn. I could go on even as granular as like Reba McEntire, Tim McGraw. Like it got very 90s exposure to real instrument music is probably the simple way. Everything from Prince to Alan Jackson.
So interesting. I relate so much to you having grown up around the same era. So it's fun to sort of shoot the shit about that, and go back to
Awesome.
the 90s and 2000s.
And I probably ended up emo in a sense, right? Like 15 with Hawthorne Heights dropping, and I didn't have my parents married, so let's throw on the tight pants and the black. Let's dye our hair black and let's be a part of the revolution. I did all that shit, and that's what probably like turned the page into my emo efforts and making a band and wanting to be a part of that.
And I want to dig more into that because I know that that's a big part of our story. And I know that that happened just a little bit later in life. But I wanted to talk and interweave another topic that I know is really near and dear to your heart, and I think to this conversation. And I wanted to ask you about autism
Yeah.
and growing up, and sort of that side of your life also.
So yeah, it's funny. I'll do the short version, right? We'll dive in, but I my son is autistic, and I didn't really know much about autism. And my generation is like if you had some neurodivergency going on, they probably called you like bipolar or some shit. And then I come from the generation, like even when I was a teenager, some doctor pumped me up with Klonopins at like 14 or something, like, oh, mood stabilizer. Like turns out I just was like pretty passionate and like had my OCD quirks. Like if I touch this earlobe, I got to touch this one. So like I've always had neurodivergency in me, and looking back how I would dress or whatever, like I was the kid wearing the small pink backpack, right? I was the kid who would I shaved my legs once, put like stripes in them just to like feel alive that day, right? So I've always had this inclination to just be a little eccentric and weird, but I didn't know until like my education and finding out through my son and then going to my own set of doctors and then getting diagnosed myself that, oh, I'm autistic. But then I'm like, well, what does that mean? And then you're like, oh, well, then you got Marshall Mathers, Eminem is autistic, Anthony Hopkins, Elon Musk said Asperger's, which just really isn't like a term used anymore, but it's really just like high functioning autism. So like it's almost like you get exposed to this. It's almost like a Mandela effect. Like I compare it to when me and my wife bought a silver Jeep. It was like brand new. Nobody had it, never seen it before. I'm like, dope. I take it off the lot, I see three on the way home. And like that's almost like what autism became in my life once it was introduced to me. I'm like, oh fuck, it's everywhere. But like it's everywhere, but people don't understand it. And then like you start diving into programs and you're like, the people running the programs don't understand it. And then you're just like, oh, this is a fucking scam. And then you end up starting your own initiatives with your homies and start going through private seed fundraising rounds because you're like, the government can't do it correctly. I don't need grant money. I just need somebody to give me fucking money to help kids. Like that's the short version of it. It's broken. I won't derail guiding this conversation, but yeah, I couldn't be more passionate. So much so I've won lawsuits, right? Like I couldn't be more passionate about how these autistic kids are being treated. Period. I'll leave it at that until we get back to it. But yeah, I will beat someone's ass if I have to. I will go to a billboard. I'll do jail time. I'll do whatever I got to do for these autistic kids, especially the ones that are non-speaking and non-verbal, which there is a difference, and we can dive into that as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think a lot of people have struggled with that in their life and had a misdiagnosis or, found out way later in life like you did and it connected that dot. And I think going through some of those things and being eccentric or being maybe weird to other people when to you it's normal can be very isolating as a kid, and growing up. It can also be kind of fun because you're like, oh, like I'm being bold and individual, and I'm being myself. But I think those nuances coming to terms with the fact that like things that are in our bodies or that happen to us, like a vaccine injury, for example, or different things that could potentially trigger like an illness or something, um, whether it's autism or not. I think just having these conversations and dialogue and like bringing it out, it's helping normalize people not feeling alone. They're like, oh, okay, I can talk about this. So I'm really grateful that you're out there championing these kids and especially the nonverbal ones because obviously they can't speak, and their educators and teachers and providers are not the ones giving them a voice or catering to their needs and trying to help them through what they're going through. So we do need more people on board with that, and it's really cool that you're championing that. So I'm excited to talk more about that later, but I wanted people to know that, you from everything that you say, like you were a super high functioning kid and you had a lot going on. You came from a loving family and you were still dealing with these little nuances, with the autism that you had growing up. So I wanted to interweave that in that part of your story too, so people could keep that in mind. And so let's get into sort of when your music, not career necessarily at that time, but when your passion for it started really accelerating, leading into an eventual career.
So I always I always wanted it. And like if people believe in manifesting, then like you're really gonna love this shit, right? Like I and probably every kid who's 35, 36 years old in middle school looked up to Pete Wentz and Fall Out Boy. You can say you didn't, you could say whatever. He was the coolest, he was different, he was launching clothing line. Sugar We're Going Down was like a fucking smash hit of the century. Every kid sung it. They didn't even know why. No one even knew the words to the chorus correctly. It was just like everyone wanted to write a pop smash that sounded as good as that band. And I was probably I was in high school when that came out. So I was listening to Take This to Your Grave, the Warp Tour mixes, the Atticus skate CDs that would come out, like that band Finch, What It Is to Burn was like such an impactful song to me, I think. Like, and you start thinking every day and you start almost like obsessing so much that you dream. Like I was having dreams that I was getting handed Pete's guitar hopping on stage with him, right? Which actually ended up happening in my life. And I played bass during Fall Out Boy's set in 2009 in front of 65,000 people at Bamboozle. But like I could taste it. I was like, this feels right. This is me. Like, this is what I want to identify as. This is who I am. When I'm going to bed at night, it feels so real. And I'm probably in the eighth or ninth grade at this point. I'm living in Summerlin. I'm kind of going through a Malibu's Most Wanted phase. I'm wearing like velour jumpsuits and Burberry Nike Air Force Ones, but I have this passion for like emo but like emo wasn't a thing yet, right? You were just hearing the music. There wasn't like a culture yet. So I was like getting really heavily vested into like what's known now as like emo music or pop rock, like 2003, 2004, Atreyu and fucking all that shit. Like just great, great rock that wasn't like Creed or hard butt rock, right? This was different. This was dirty. It was imperfect. It was just like nasty. I wanted all of it. So I started just building these playlists in my Xbox and wanting to do this. And then in the ninth grade, my girlfriend cheated on me in high school, and that turned into the guy who's now a cop. This psychopath should not be a cop, but like the guy who had sex with my girlfriend beat my ass. And I had a knife on me that day, and he was beating my ass. And I didn't pull the knife. I didn't do anything crazy. But the next day, something had happened where the school cops were now going to want to like search me every day. And oh, you're suspended. You can't go back. Like I said, this guy had some whatever to where like, okay, you beat my ass, but now I'm in trouble. This is fucking crazy. So my cousin, who was a teacher at this school called Liberty High School, was able to kind of like get me a zone variance. So now I'm taken out of my life ecosystem of Summerlin, all these people I've known my whole life. And I moved to a new school across town that had just opened year one, and just blank slate, started eating lunch by myself in her classroom every day. And just that was my first, probably like, you get the opportunity to like hit rock bottom and rebuild. And like I learned that I'm like, oh, I have a whole new life now. These people don't know shit. I don't want to dress the way I was dressing. This school had uniforms. I'm like, it just took away all these things to where like leaving this like eccentric lifestyle where kids are driving Porsches to school in the richest part of town. Now I'm just like existing and not competing, which led to a first year school. Now I'm like doing broadcast journalism, I'm on the baseball, all these things I could never accomplish at this political based school. I now have access to everything. And that's what like led to more experience of like being creative, being in broadcast, being like, I want to be in a fucking band. I started working at this coffee shop called the Rock and Java that hosted concerts. And jokingly enough, they say that you can have a night off if you book yourself a show. So I created a band, kind of based on that notion. Started with some just shitty demos with my friend, or we'll call him whatever for this video. His name was Alex. And we started the Cab, which is the Cash and Alex band, in in my living room, freshman year, maybe sophomore year of high school, in my mom's living room, and recruited band members from bands we liked, pulled them all in. And next thing you know, these five idiot kids who practiced a few times in a garage had a show. And there you go. Yeah, the Cab is an American rock band from Las Vegas.
I
It's
I know I told you this
my
before,
credit.
but yeah,
Yeah.
I lived in Las Vegas for over a decade, and so when you're talking about Summerlin and all this stuff too, that was one of the things that I remember when I did live there. I would always complain about was just that, there wasn't much of like a music culture there. Like we always import music. The headliners are never Las Vegas bands. It's like, the LA Hollywood scene. They don't really have like a big culture there. So the bands
And
that
then the Killers happened. And then that rolled
yes.
into Panic at the Disco and the Higher. And then Panic found us, and we can get into that, right? And then the Killers brought in a Magic Dragons. And now all of a sudden and then Escape the Fate with Ronnie Radke now falling in reverse. You're just like, wow, Vegas just produced the top 6 out of 10 bands in the country in 2006 out of fucking nowhere. It was crazy what happened to Vegas. But that
100%.
story of working at that venue aligns with about now we're in 2006. I'm working at a venue, and Vegas actually does have this music scene happening.
And that was what I was gonna ask was actually being in the music scene in Vegas because I don't think, like I said, it took a while for that to become something where we had local music there that was on that Billboard level and that was, had albums that were being sold all across the country and world tours and things like that. What did you see being, sort of like from the inception of your own band? What did you sort of notice about the Las Vegas culture there and what stood out to you? Why did you want to stay in Las Vegas versus going somewhere where maybe, the LA or somewhere where it's more well known at that point to have like a successful music career?
And I chop this up to like autism or something nowadays, right? But like my thought process back then was everyone is liking our music and bands are starting to hate us. They're not letting us on shows. They're not doing all this stuff. So I went, there's something here, right? Like I remember this guy, his name's Justin Levitt. I'll probably clip this just to shout out my boy, but he goes, I'm mad. He goes, why? He goes, you guys are going to get fucking signed. And I was like, and we had this shitty song, but like the lyric was like, drunk love is getting sober. And everyone's just like, you're doing it. Like you're writing these things that people want to hear. And we were getting that reception so much that, and this is where I like got crazy with the band. So right about that time is when like digital music came out and kids in their morning announcements were like putting whatever song they wanted on their intros and all this stuff, like, high school announcements, clip making videos. So they actually took that away where like you needed written permission in 2007. So like the universe was working on my side. I was in broadcast. I went to my broadcast teacher. We sent out a mass email to every broadcast high school journalism school in Clark County, our county. So 30, 40 high schools and said, you have permission to use this album. It was our album that we had made. So fast forward about 3, 4 months later, I go to STN, which is the Student Television Network Awards, and I sit down. Every fucking video is a Cab song. So now I just realized that for a whole year, all of Clark County is listening to the Cab without even fucking realizing it. Every high school kid, everyone just said, their teacher must have said, we have permission. This is the music you have to use. And the Cab kind of like, then the MySpace plays are going up, right? Then it's like, I'm like, what the fuck? Then we do advertising in the high school newspaper saying free Cab CD with purchase or whatever. And we throw a show at House of Blues. A, the show sells out. B, everyone's got their fucking coupons from their high school newspaper. So like, we just, I at least, right? Like I will say this, right, humbly, gracefully, from a business standpoint, the other four dudes did not do any of this shit. They know it, they know what it is. Like I built this business per se. So understanding that people didn't like us, we had this lane, and now with all this hype, my singer is on AOL Instant Messenger, AIM, gets a message from a screen name that is so literal we can't believe it, inviting us to the mountains in Las Vegas to a cabin. And it was a message from Ryan Ross of Panic at the Disco because Alex had tossed off a demo at one of their concerts, which led to we walk into their cabin and the biggest band in the world saw us on the ring thing, said come downstairs. They're playing our fucking song. We walk in, they're singing our song, and we're just like, the fuck? Like I'm a 17-year-old high school stoner that like I just knew in that exact second. There was no talk of a deal. They just said we'd come up and hang out with us. There was no nothing, but I knew that the biggest band in the world was playing our song right in front of us, and something's going to happen now. Didn't even know what it meant, but by the end of that conversation, they're like, we want to manage you. We want you to meet our managers. I start hanging out. I start ditching school all the time and skateboarding with Brendan Urie. He became a good friend of mine, so much so like, hanging out with me, right? And you look back on it, it's like, I can relate to the feeling he was having, but you're so big that you can't really trust anyone. And I didn't really give a fuck hell or high water who he was, other than just like, oh, you want to buy some weed and go skateboarding? Yeah, that's cool. I won't go to school. I don't give a fuck, dude. Like that's cool. And it was as simple and casual as that, but that gradual build and like pushing past that resistance of like, if I would have said they won't put us on a show, they're mean. I just said they won't put us on a show. Fuck them. Let's go get a bigger show. And I think that ultimately is what led that energy of tattooing the band on me 2 months before a deal, never giving up, doing this in the seventh grade, like idolizing specific people, like thinking about a certain path of where I wanted to land, I know led me to the situation that I ended up in. There's no other way it could have.
And
It was too real before it happened.
right. So you're still going to school, you're still, a young adult at this point, and
I'm
what
now
is,
graduating high school with MTV filming my graduation.
I was gonna say, what did your life look like outside of that?
It's
How was this sort of
fucking
like
nuts.
leaping into it? And did it make other parts of your life fall apart? Did it impact it positively? How are your parents with it? Like what was happening in your life outside of these big things happening with music?
It was a lot. So that year, so I tattooed this. My birthday is March 14th. So March 14th, 2007, got a cab tattoo. Everyone said I'm fucking crazy. And then in May, by May, we were invited to the suite at the Palms where Gym Class Heroes was filming their Clothes Off music video. Pete Wentz was dressed like Elvis. We walked into a hotel room, played one song acoustically, and he said, "Yeah, sign him," and left.
That was cool.
So, and that was May, and I graduated in June. So, as of May, the whole entire town knew we were getting signed, and all these weird things were happening around it. Like a guitar center had opened. We played the opening, and they hung our photo, and like our photo was hanging in front of the guitar center for a decade. Red Bull sponsored us. We ended up getting the producer who did Panic's record, and he did All Time Low and all these like big, that 303 big song, the Don't Trust a Hoe, all that shit, Matt Squire. We end up going to LA, living in the Oakwood apartments for a couple months, nothing but Red Bull and marijuana for a couple months, making this record. And so within a matter of 6 months, a record's done. We're going on tour, and if we're signed in May, by January, we're starting to do national tours and enter a tour with Cobra Starship, Metro Station, We the Kings. Just so how I felt, I don't even know. Um, and I don't think I know how I felt until we're in the beginning of that first national tour as a bunch of kids who don't know shit about fuck. And we hit black ice going 70 miles an hour and flip, and I'm shotgun, no seatbelt in the middle of bumfuck Wisconsin, and the song that's playing is I Feel Like Dying by Lil Wayne. And you just yeah, I thought somebody pulled me out of the van, and I kept talking about it. They're like, no one pulled you out. And like I still attribute that day to kind of like savanting my mind state, and like that's what ultimately led to like eventually leaving and all this other stuff. I just started thinking a lot. I think near death experiences will do that to anyone, but like we all survived it and then all had to wake up the next day and do our jobs again. And I think that was, yeah, no, we'll get you a driver or a bus. They just got us a new van and said, keep going. Like nobody even fucking cared, bro. Like I can't even tell you enough about that part. I'm like popping Vicodin, throwing up on stages and like, yeah. And then they want to say shit like people were drug addicts or something. It's crazy. Like it's a very wild experience. There's some fun and humor along the way, but that was the first. So yeah, tattoo in March, music video shoot signed in May, touring by January, February 1st of 2008, flip near death experience.
How heavy that is, and like such a high to such a low. And then, like you said, not having time to process all of that, the good
No
and
moms, no nothing. Just they gave us a new van and said, keep going. We didn't even see our family after that for a month or two.
oh my gosh. And so I want to go back to the moment where you said that you had actually performed for, amongst other people, Pete Wentz.
Mhm.
What was that like for you, having had thought about that so much and feeling like that might happen one day? Was that like a really magical moment for you?
Honestly, no. Um, it felt like I had been there, like, and I definitely had an ego back in the day, but like I just knew that I had worked for that. I knew that like this was the goal. Why would I be shocked? Why am I shocked that what I did worked? when everyone else was calling me crazy or tattooing it on me or telling venue promoters to go fuck themselves for not like I just knew, right? Like I like sometimes you just have to be all in on something or why are you even trying? Like I never I can't stand people who are like have a lack of confidence in what they say is going to be their life. Like, are you all in or like no? Like, do you have the blinders on? Like, do you let people project fear on you? Like, I wanted to start a pop band like Fall Out Boy in the middle of a hardcore scene. And like, and but that to me, that ultimately created a niche. I not like, oh, let's do something that everybody loves. Let's go find people that want to love this. And I think that mindset helped a lot. Like I knew the product was good. I knew that people wanted good looking cutesy pop bands that sing about having their heart broken. That was what 2006 was all about. And I kept having these visions, right? Like, why would I think about like it's different to be like, that's my favorite band, and another thing to be like, this guy's handing me a fucking guitar in my dreams. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's different. It's alignment. It was supposed to happen.
100%. It's really interesting that it ended up actually going that way and it wasn't, something that you were thinking about or a person that you were thinking about, and then it ended up being maybe a similar path, but a different way to get there. It's really incredible
But
that
how many people think about being a doctor for 8 years and then take the steps and then they're working in their dream hospital? Like I just don't see any difference. I just think some people think some things are unreachable, but like you could start a rap career today, do it every day for 5 years and say exactly what you're gonna do. It'll probably fucking happen. Like that's just like that's kind of life. I don't think people get that. I think people give up before the good happens. And if you just like don't give up, it's like super important. And don't be willing to do shit unless it's like 5 years for free or you never gave a fuck anyways. Like I've been in digital marketing for 15 years. I knew I would get here, but you don't get there by just being like, I deserve this or whatever, right? Like you got to have that like plan to get there. I started working for free doing Facebook ads. Now I do like SEO and front end development, project management, and like turn the computer into a job. Like, so there's not enough of that. There's, especially with the younger generation, I feel like our generation is probably still okay. Like we know how to work hard and we know that like how to like get told to fuck off and like not lose sleep over it. But like 25 and younger, y'all are a little fucking damaged. Like listen to your elders. Like we don't even try to say this shit to fearmonger. It's just like y'all are a little soft and like you should look within or find the right people to harden up. The world don't care about you like that. And that's okay. It's okay to understand that. It's okay to believe in yourself. It's okay to not need that validation. Cause I remember this was my second tattoo ever. This was one of like my third or fourth maybe. And they're like, you're never gonna get a real job. I said, fuck a real job. Like, I'll leave it at that. But like if you have this mentality of like people who have never done shit with their lives get to project their fear of never doing shit on your big ass mind, you've already lost. You've already lost. Don't let these fucking people who don't know how to work tell you how to work. That's crazy. That's crazy. There's too much of that. Too much of that.
absolutely. We tend to take advice and feedback from people whose lives we would never want to live and people who have never done what we want to do. If somebody hasn't done and actually succeeded in doing the dream that we have, why would we listen to them tell us what can and can't be done when it's not something that they've ever done to know if it can be done to begin with? Um,
People will always default to like I see this a lot when like what say 3 words or you see it on Facebook. It's just like everyone's like I love you or I miss mom. It's like the best 3 words in the world are fucking consider the source. Who's talking to you? And do you respect them? Like I see parents who let their kids like it's a 10-year-old. Consider the source. Why is your whole day ruined because a 10-year-old is mad? Like even as a parent, it shouldn't wreck you like that. I think people are looking for excuses to get wrecked. Like maybe people are so tired, they want this little excuse to creep in so they can go, "Ah, that's it. I'm taking that nap now." It's like just be hungry, want the smoke, want that energy in your life. defeat some shit, beat some shit. It's so cool to like fuck some shit up. It's way better than like acting like it'll go away, or I don't know. Just consider your fucking source. That's all that really, like, consider your fucking source. If if your cousin dates bad people, don't take dating advice from your fucking cousin. Don't ever listen to your cousin about your fucking spouse. Like, it's very simple life math, right? Like, this isn't new. We're not making shit up on the fly. Let me get more coffee.
No,
Take your mobile. Yeah, as you were. You're guiding this very well, and I could derail very easily. So, as you were.
no, this is great. And so I want to dig more into the cab for people who aren't familiar with your band. Like, who
Yep.
was the cab? What was the band like? What was it like going on tour with these guys? What was the dynamic like behind the scenes? Like, tell us about what that was like being in a band for people who either aren't familiar with it and obviously people who have never done that.
Well, I'll say it was cool until the label showed up and the money showed up. It was a lot more fun before other people, other people who fell in love with our product tried to tell us what the product should be. It's like, that's fucking crazy. We wrote some pretty good songs without you. Um, and then you get into things like backdoor deals, behind the scene meetings, nothing against my old singer. I wouldn't have done the same, but to take deals that would hurt bands, like, I'll say it right now, no NDA, like, that motherfucker took 55% of our publishing and 45% went to four other guys. Like, you just don't do that with people. Like, I could understand splits, right? Like, oh, you sing and you're gonna go for this whole, like, well, singing, lyrics, and production are the three sources of music, and like, you want to listen to all the trash these fucking labels tell you, like, that's cool, right? But also, like, you got catfished once senior year of high school, and when your fake girlfriend died, who was holding you in a parking lot? You know what I mean? Like, I just think people forget these little things, which I don't care about talking about that. Homie got catfished. We all said she wasn't real. And then she's like never meeting with him and texting, I'm dying in the hospital. No, you're not. No, you're not. So I just think people forget where they come from. And like, I had stopped people from getting assaulted. I'm driving the van all the time. I tell you my stories about the placements and the music and the broadcasts and the sold out shows and working venues. But then you're comfortable enough to take what you didn't earn. And that part's because other people said, strangers that you just met, who we never signed a contract with, told you deserve it. So that's when you start realizing the game you're entering right off the fucking jump. Immediately before you even go on your first tour that, damn, homie's got $300 Nikes on and I'm eating fucking cup of noodles. Immediate, and we're in the same van, the van that I'm fucking driving. Like, at least if you making all that money, bro, drive the fucking van. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Do some work. So I think I'm definitely not the only person. I'll give respect to Fall Out Boy because they're one of the only bands that have made it this far, but the publishing on their records, I'll tell you why they made it this far, because they have so much side money. The publishing on their albums, they split 25, 25, 25, 25. Don't even matter if they write 100% of the record, because without Fall Out Boy being Fall Out Boy, fuck them. And they understood that very early. But the one thing I don't understand is how you could take on all these new bands and not encourage the thing that keeps bands together, which is keeping them on an even playing field with just the art. You want to go get a Gatorade sponsorship, you want to go marry a celebrity, you want to be in a Aflac commercial for $1 million. I don't fucking care, but like the music, the thing we're all in this studio, sleep deprived over, we all spent the same amount of time in the studio. We all touching instruments, we all driving here, so that's probably one of the bigger things that I think the music industry took from people. Like, and to put it into perspective, right? Panic at the Disco, their first publishing deal, I think it was like 20 or 30 grand, maybe, for that first album that blew up. Now they did more, they got tours, all that. Now, to put it into perspective, guess how much the band that brought the band that Panic at the Disco brought as a publishing deal. $350,000. So now we're talking 55%. You're 18 years old. Only one band member has made six figures. And now go on tour together. So they do it on purpose. And mind you, this management company, I'll decide if I want to drop them or not. We don't sign a contract with them. So we had a contract with the label. We're meeting these celebrities, right? Like I'm at celebrity weddings, this and that. But I have never signed a piece of paper for this guy that calls me every day and tells me what to fucking do. He has no paperwork connection to me. And this happens to a lot of 18-year-olds.
Why?
I mean, probably for protection, right? Because when I rolled in that van and almost died, who the fuck who's giving me money? I paid my own hospital bills, bro. Like there's no connection to it. There's not a deep enough look into it. I definitely think it's like illegal practices, right? But at the end of the day, probably not, because the defense is you never asked, or you guys are stupid enough to pick up the phone every day. But there's like this, so it's very weird, and I can't speak on him. He probably had a management contract, our singer, right? But it starts this whole thing, right? And as a 35-year-old adult, it doesn't even make sense to do an engagement without a contract. At 18 years old, you sign a record deal. Okay, we didn't sign a management agreement. We didn't sign anything but a record deal. So it's like, huh. And they touch the money before anyone else gets money. And I'm doing like, I did a full-blown arena tour and somehow $24,000 went missing once. And I'm doing these full-scale tours in a van, allegedly to save money, blah, blah, blah. I'm gone for 3 months, get like $800 by the time I get home. Oh, but they're nice enough to give you a $10 a day PD. So I could eat Taco Bell twice back in like 2007. And you're driving. And people are telling you what to do. So like you start by like making music and your idol fucking signs you and you go to the VMAs and you're on TV shows and all this shit. How you go to celebrity weddings, celebrities know you. You're at Hollywood Hills parties. Like I remember a blunt circle once with like Eve the Rapper, Max Bemis from Say Anything. Like it's cool, right? It's what all these clout chasing motherfuckers would love to have happen on their live streams in 2024. But I feel it's probably an inappropriate term, right? Because I don't want to be offensive to anyone who has gone through this, but you feel trafficked because you are sexualized. You are being put in these rooms where 13-year-old girls and their 43-year-old mothers are constantly wanting to touch you. There are people saying there are little games going on. Like there's just so much that happens that I don't think people understand. And sorry if that triggers anyone by saying that, but there's no other way to look back on it other than prying on young, vulnerable children, snatching their souls out of them and depleting them dry. And I don't know any other way to describe that other than potentially the word being trafficked, because you're being told where to go, when to go, how to act, what to do, and to be okay with all of it.
And
Now,
meanwhile, people are making money off of you doing.
all the time with no contract attached to me, we're not even seeing the amount of money coming in. So if that is not, and we talk about it now with like the Diddy situations and things like that, I think there's multiple levels to create systems to generate a bunch of money. And unfortunately, young musicians are one of them. Now, my old singer now he signed to Rockefeller. His boss is Jay-Z. He married a Victoria's Secrets model, all these things. Like, I feel like I don't have to do the math on that to understand why he might be a little more around celebrities these days than, let's say, your boy who quit. And like, you have to just understand it from that value. And once you're in, it's very hard to leave unless you just pull the plug, let people start all these rumors about you. Like they said the main reason I'm not in the cab anymore is because I stole $60 that wasn't missing when they went to count it. And they even say that. They're like, yeah, you stole it, but we caught you and you put it back and that's why it wasn't missing. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Like if you're 19, maybe like you think you're coming up with a cool plan, but they create these things of like, oh, well, if there's less of them, there's going to be more for you. So like it got to the point where these dudes that I created a band with, they're fucking lying on me so they can make more money. And it was fucking wild because I'm there. I'm in my sex, drugs, and rock and roll mentality. Like I'm with my boys. We're a little dirty. I got my cigarettes. I'm jumping off stages. Like I'm living for that. I'm not living for like, oh, my singer who dated Demi Lovato, right? Like to me, that's just like, nobody take this. I was just kind of gay, right? Like I think she was like 15 or 16. And he's like, People Magazine put them on the front of People Magazine. I'm like, he's 20. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like this isn't some like thing, but you look back, everything I'm saying isn't a lie. And it's just like, it feels like that is the word to express it with. And I don't mean to offend anybody if you're watching this, but how else would you word, hey, you had this dream, we're going to tell you we'll give you the world. We're actually not. We're going to take all your money. And by the end of it, everyone's going to hate you and you're going to have nothing left. Like,
No,
I don't know. And we're going to introduce you to drugs and we're going to send you to these things. And I just don't know any other way when you hear victims of like these girls who just wanted to have a good time once, end up in the wrong spot. Like it, it, it happens to a lot of young men entering the music industry right out of high school. Every single, I'm not special. Every single band. I think the only thing that makes my situation a little unique, we got brought in by a very famous band. I had a very famous boss, and it was a little more intense from the jump. Like I was at the VMAs with Dave Grohl and shit right out of high school to like further indoctrinate me into loving this lifestyle. If I would have never quit, like they were saying shit like Fall Out Boy's never coming back. That's why we signed you. I truly believe like the Cab was on a path for Maroon 5 or that level of the way they were onboarding us. And if a few of us didn't leave, myself and Ian, we probably could have gotten put in the room with producers, getting told what songs to sing, blah, 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 like it always goes for everybody.
no, I appreciate you using the word trafficked because I think too that word gets compartmentalized to just mean one thing. We hear about sex
Yeah.
trafficking a lot and don't realize that really trafficking is the exchange for human capital
Abuse of power and
of some
yeah.
kind, whether that is control, whether that's money. There's an exchange for human capital, and that's
If you find someone with a better word, let me know. But I have yet in 15 years to understand a word better than explaining like the money being hidden,
totally.
compartmentalizing people, draining people's like souls more or less by like way too much work. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. I almost died and they're like, keep going. That's cool. I don't give a fuck about you.
And
They got a mentality. If
following a
you
little
die,
bit
I'll
more
replace
into
you.
that, I want to ask you, what else did you see? How else do you feel that exploitation happens? Were there certain things that happened to you and your band? Did you see things happen to other bands? I'd love for you to shine more of a light on that. Because again, that part goes hidden. We just see the glamour and the all the stars, but we don't see, what actually happens behind the scenes. And I think it's important for parents to know too, who are putting their children in these systems.
Well, sometimes it's in front of the scenes, right? Like I can bring it up again. Like my singer was dating a 15-year-old girl. Like that's a fact.
And they're publishing it on magazines like it's glamour.
Like you dig down the thing and want to find him and Demi Lovato on a cover of a magazine and look at the date of the magazine. Like I'm not lying. Like she's a teenager. Like so that's being pushed. And like a lot of these girls that I met along the way, they weren't of age. These girls in like you can go back to music videos. Like I don't want to put homies on blast like that, but like you go to a lot of these music videos from back in 2006, 2007, whatever. The lead star in the video is just some girl who loved the band and the singer thought she was hot or something, so they let her into the video. None of these girls are 18. So like there's nothing really to like almost even prove when you do that. Like I just looked at another Cab music video. I wasn't in the band. It's like 2011 and I was like, where did I hear that name from? the chick that's marrying Josh Allen, the quarterback, Haley something. She's in the cab video in like 2011. She's 15 years old in 2011. Like, so like, I just don't get why people don't get that part. I don't get it. And I wish I could, but the more I advocate, especially for children, it's just like, it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. And I don't know why people, I don't know if it's, I don't think it's a lack of acceptance. I think people are so tied up in their own shit that they don't realize like this whole thing surrounds them all the time. It's like, oh, like they'll say just the name. And for some reason, if they've made that magazine cover or something, you're not thinking about their age or something. Like people are like indoctrinated to think that way or something. But like, it's fucking weird. And I'm sure there's something right now with some teenager on a magazine dating some old Demi Lovato dated that 70s show guy forever. She was like 16, he was like 40 or some shit. Like it's everywhere. Like, and if you don't open your eyes to that, I don't know. I just think you're fucking crazy at this point. It's literally everywhere. And people are still ignoring it. There's islands. Like there's kids in containers. There's so much of this like destroy the youth thing that happens on a daily basis. And like it's fucking crazy that people don't look at it and talk about it the way it should be talked about. This is happening. This is real. Um, Makes me hate crypto because like I feel like the crypto space alone could actually socially advocate for one serious issue in the world. It just never will. Like, um, and yeah, it's just not talked about enough. And it should be. I hope it does come to light. But even in 2024, it's now a joke that Leonardo DiCaprio breaks up with his girlfriends when they're 25. Why is that a joke? Why are we joking about him being a predator? Like, why are we joking about like Will Smith's sex tapes? Why are we joking about what happened to Justin Bieber? Like, why are we joking about this shit? It's not a joke. It's not a joke. There's a bunch of grown ass men, mostly men. There's probably like six women. I've met like five or six of them. They're just predators. And there's a much bigger game. And like I've watched some of your interviews, right? Like these things that happen in the woods are real. Like these elitist groups are real. Like these things that they believe in are real. These sacrifices of souls per se are real. And it's like I don't know any other way to try to explain that. And if you don't know by now in 2024, then you fucking turn that part of your brain off because you don't want to see it. That's my personal opinion. It couldn't be more real.
That's a really good point that you make about how things are presented to us. We do get stories like this with pedophilia and crimes against children presented to us two different ways. There's the way that you said, where it's presented on People magazine as this thing to celebrate. Look at this new beautiful couple. We caught them on Rodeo Drive shopping together. And the way that they phrase it, even though it's a 15-year-old and a 20-year-old, we look at it and we fawn over it and we Google it and we make it popular and we're entertained by it. Where on the other hand, we could see an article of the same thing that says 20-year-old rapes a 15-year-old and is getting a prison sentence, and we're appalled by it. And it's
Right.
interesting how they're the same exact thing,
Literally.
presented to us two different ways. And one way we look at as a crime because it says it is. The other way, just because the word crime isn't there or because they're not being penalized for it, it's being glamorized. We just accept it and it's normalized that that's okay because the way they worded it. But this way is not okay if it says that it's a crime. It's very interesting what you brought up.
And people do this thing like I mean even the guy who owns the Raiders here in town, like I got nothing against the guy. He's got a weird haircut, but like other than that, good for you, bro. But like his girl's like 26. Like, he's like 75 and it's like so we're always just going to like never think that that's fucking crazy because they reached that legality. Like the dude was a senior citizen before she was born. Like we have to like at least like it can't just be like this number thing like oh well they're 18 like shut the fuck up you fucking pedophile. How about that? Like how about you're fucking gross, you recruit, um, and stop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, hire an escort for the night or something. Like, I don't know what you have to prove or whatever. Like, there's professional sex workers or whatever for a reason, but like to taunt this shit around is fucking weird. It sets a false perception. Both for the not even for the men, for the women. Like I see so many clips nowadays where like women are acting like a dude making $100,000 a year isn't the bag. Like they're like they got to make at least 1 million. I'm like, okay, well, I'll let you know right now, as a 36-year-old man with multiple W-2s, assets, everything, blah blah blah, worth millions, not making millions a year. You're fucking stupid. Like that's crazy to think that there's a bunch of people out here making millions of dollars a year. It's not true. Even if they say it, they might have assets, they might have a net worth, they might have that, but there are no jobs and things out there paying people this unbeknownst thing of money. And these women who end up on these websites, they almost lose a devalued interest in hard work and money because like, I know as somebody with like a fucking brain and an IQ that's like 140 or some shit, like I know for a fact that I'll never compete with like the power of some titties for $5 a month prescriptions or what, like, you know what I mean? Like, but I also understand at the same time there's something more to life than that. And it's why I don't have an OnlyFans making $50,000 a month or whatever. Like you can't feed the beast. And the more that these like women don't understand, like there should be women out there advocating, being like, look, you shouldn't get naked on the internet for money. Like it's not good for your soul. Like it's bad. Like you might not see the ramifications of it right now. And yeah, you don't need no man, but like you're really not going to like this in a couple years. And this whole thing is set up to like break your soul and never be happy and never like have that cap of when you know enough is enough. Like no man is probably going to want you after 5, 10 years of experience after that. Any man that's like not a cuck, right? You know what I mean? Like any grown ass man who wants to have children, who wants to set a standard, who wants to like carry on a legacy with a family. No one's going to do that with this like I don't need no man and $40,000 a month ain't a lot of money and da da da. Like it really is. Um, your mind's just skewed. But what happens? Like what happens? You're seeing it right now with like medication of like people like they're about to cut off people's like gender medications. I think in the United States, like what happens when they rug pull OnlyFans? You think this new America that's coming in is going to be down with porn like they're not down with fast food? Like you don't think like there's going to be a cultural shift in America of that is about raising your consciousness and being healthy and doing things that are more godlike? Like now you got clips all over the internet saying you don't need no fucking man. And like th- that part, I don't even know how I got on this fucking tangent, but like that part hurts me so fucking much that there's a lot of like, and I'll be the guy to say it, right? That there's a lot of women out there that don't see the value in somebody doing everything that they can and coming home with just enough left to give you that love and attention that they want to give you. Like that connection's like gone, bro. Like I've been married for 10 years. I love my wife. I love nothing more than the fact that like at 3 o'clock today, my kid is with grandma and I get to take my wife to a nice meal. You know what I mean? Like my wife don't care what's in my bank account. The bills are paid, bro. Like that's life. The dog's fed, my kids with grandma. Like a lot of people just don't understand that standard of what a quality life can be. Like, yeah, you do need a man or a woman. How about that? You do need a life partner that loves you. You should have a goal with them to do better. You should invite things into your life that will make you question the way you're doing some shit in your life. Like, you should grow. Cause like shaking your tits for 5 figures a month, there's no value. And I wish people understood the word value. And it's not money. And the more you become invaluable, you're just you're not gonna be valued. And like I just leave it at that. I don't know where that tangent came from, but I had to speak it because like fuck, I cannot stand this culture we're living in right now of like, it's just toxic. Like it's okay. Get a life partner, have some kids, or don't. But if you're not, like, don't act like it's the worst thing in the world, because human intent really is to procreate and create life and keep it going. Like, we're so fucking stupid for thinking that's not the point. It's like the only miracle that humans can create is new life. And everyone's acting like making money is cooler than that. No, like what? The real miracle is like two people can get together and create a new fucking person. Are you kidding? You said that shit like on a what? That's magic, bro. Like that's fucking crazy that men and women can come together and create life. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. That's so cool. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why is it so important for people to tell us that it's not? And to me, right? Like if I if I see smoke, like at least like coming from this stuff with like COVID and all this other stuff, it's just like anything the government is kind of telling me or anything that like is being pushed in I'm going the other way. Oh, kids bad? Cool. I'm gonna have six more. Hope I have eight. Maybe I'll adopt a basketball team. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to go the complete opposite direction of like my government trying to be like, you don't need kids, you don't need this. Like even the news outlets, I go on Facebook and it's like NBC Today, single mother at 40 decides not having a man was the best thing for her. I'm like, why are they writing this trash? No, it's not. There's no way a woman in her 40s by herself feels complete. No one will ever convince me of that. And the people that say it and make videos about it, you're just trying to convince yourself. You are not happy. It didn't work out for you. You gave up and you became a rebel because you wouldn't say it was your fault. How about that? How about you're toxic, get some healing, go to therapy, and realize one of the greatest things that you could do in your life is try to carry on some life. And if you're this big social advocate and you want to put humanity first and I don't care who you vote for, why don't you go adopt a fucking child then and change your life? Not be some proud cat lady, fucking whatever. I've never seen so much mental illness in like the last year, bro. It's crazy. This last Trump Kamala thing, it like broke people's heads. It's like, okay, why don't you just like separate the politics and advocate the things you're about? You care about equality? Okay, you care about trans rights? Go adopt a trans kid out of foster care and go do your thing for trans rights. Be the change you wish to see and watch someone else do it. I quit drinking. 8 other people around me have quit drinking in the last few years. It wasn't because I told them to quit drinking. It's because they saw the benefits every day of me walking around not drinking. But these people that are like, politics, this and that. All right, if you're a humanitarian, go do some humanitarian shit. You care about kids and you ain't got no kids, go adopt a fucking kid. Join Big Brother. You care about kids with cancer, go to the fucking hospital. Get off the internet. Get off TikTok. Get off. Bro, I fed like 4 homeless people this week. I didn't make a fucking video. Like, you want to be it, go be it. Like, what are we doing here? Like, shut the fuck up. Period. Anyone can change somebody's life every single day. If you think you can't, you're fucking stuck in this weird thing. I don't know how else to get, I don't know how else to like get that message through, but like government won't help you, blah, blah, blah. However you feel in your heart, whatever you advocate for, that politics, the wrong person got voted, just shut the fuck up, go outside and go do something. Period. And it'll be hard. My wife, my wife, she makes fun of me sometimes at this point, but like even the other day I texted her a video. She's like, where are you? It's been 30 minutes. And I just sent a video of the guy eating. I was like, sorry, I met this Guatemalan man that was hungry. And like it, even more to it though, but like I'm not talking about immigrants and get out of our country. It's like if I go outside, the motherfucker's hungry, I'll feed him, I'm gonna go back home. Like, go just be a human being. Stay out of the bullshit. It's cool. I don't care if the guy's illegal or not. Motherfucker was hungry and he looked like shit. That's just like a human thing. But you don't need to come to the internet and be like, we need to let everybody in and it's the human. No, just go outside and be a human then. If you're worried about immigrants, there's plenty outside. Go give some food to them. Go give them your money. Go open up your fucking house. Go do whatever. But on the internet, just shut the fuck up. Like, just shut the fuck up. No one cares. No one cares. Your government doesn't care. And half the people you think you're fighting against, red, blue, nobody cares. People are just like not over their trauma and can identify with politics to like spew some trauma. But like if you really cared about people, you'd go fucking help people one at a time. That's it. It's a very simple message. Like I said, even with the trans rights stuff, it's great. I think anybody, if you on whatever path to feel however you want, cool. But there are plenty of kids in these foster systems and plenty of kids out there who feel very lost and alone. And if you're out here advocating for them, why don't you do a little bit more? Because there are kids that actually do need you. Go nut up. Oh, but it'll cost me $20,000 and having a kid is hard. Or da da da. Then shut the fuck up. Next question.
I love this tangent because I see such an evolution of like what we were just talking about a little bit ago of where you were at, 18, 19, 20 years old, where you're submerged in a completely opposite, reality where it's sex, drugs, rock and roll. There's not, this committed thing of like you're staying in one place and marrying somebody. Like you're traveling the world, you're a bachelor, like you're around all these different scandals and celebrities. And I wanted to dig into that mindset and like how you went from there to starting to evolve to where you're at now and like how that decision eventually came where you totally just didn't align anymore with that lifestyle and left.
Yeah. So, um, where do we start? Okay. 4/20/09 was my best friend died uh immediately, and I got the text while I was in another state. I don't even know where the fuck I was, like Pennsylvania or something. And it hit me so hard because the night or two before, I think I was on some show called FNM TV or whatever, like Friday night. I was hosting. And while I'm hosting it, I'm getting these troll texts like, I see you, bitch. Haha, I see you, you stupid bitch. And like, it's from my boy Adam who had passed away. And I was just like, it was, to me, it was that we had just been in that accident, done all these tours, and about a year, maybe 15 months after the accident, you'd done every festival, you'd done all this shit. And right after that, about 8 days later, after I found out my best friend had passed away, I flew home for the funeral, came back. Um, by the way, when I went home for the funeral, it's the only show I had ever missed ever on tour. And that night, security guards beat the shit out of like three people that were on our tour, like cops. And I know that the group that got beat up, I would have been with them, probably just got ragdolled by these Philly police officers. So like that's a weird little part to the story that it's like the one only show I ever missed was to go back for his funeral, and like I probably would have been assaulted in Philadelphia if I didn't do that. Um, but then 8 days later, my boy had quit the band. We were at the Bamboozle Festival. No, this was '09. So yeah. And then in about 8 days later, he quit after that festival. We're driving home. He's like, I fucking hate this. He actually, on the side, he took a guitar deal and started playing with Panic at the Disco. My boy Ian, he was in that band for a couple years, kind of jumped from us to replace Ryan Ross over there at Panic. And then yeah, and then you just kind of like start thinking more. And I don't think for like the accident, everything, I don't think I started thinking about everything until my friend died. And then I was like, I'm missing things that matter more to me than what I'm doing right now. Now, I didn't think like if I was there, could I have helped save him or if I could have done, but like you think these kind of things, right? Like you think like, like you just ultimately end up with the thing of I should have been there and not here. You ultimately just like after years of whatever and healing, you just go ultimately hearing this news, I should have just been here and not there. And this is where I feel like spiritually something happened because then we were on our headlining tour in June. We left that month. Ian was gone. I was already like, do I even enjoy being here? Adam just died. My best friend in that band, the guitarist, my roll dog is gone now. I don't even have my dude with me. And then And then that rumor, right? I had never been in a hotel room before with the other Alex, not the singer, this dude named Alex Marshall. Hey, Alex Marshall, fuck you, bitch. I don't care. Keep that part. He knows what he did. We're in a hotel room together for the first time ever in years. Our merch guy, Sonny, he's got two piles of money on the bed and he grabs 20 bucks or some shit because there was a pizza downstairs. And this was like when pizza, he's like, I'm gonna borrow 20 bucks, I'll give it back, I'll buy the pizza. I'm like, cool. Then me and this guy stoned as shit off of like good weed. And good weed back in 2007 was hard to find. So we had like a dab or we had good weed. Like I remember like specifically being super fucking high, but like I smoke every day. This guy, Alex Marshall, doesn't. So wherever I am, he's an astronaut. He would do this thing sometimes where he would be like fake put on jetpacks. He's like, uh-oh. It was funny until he wasn't. Like I said, fuck this guy. But the next day after this had happened, we ate pizza, everything was fine. And then the next day, we have a band meeting on our off day and we sit down and I think they're going to just bitch about something like, we're not dressing lame enough or whatever because they always wanted us to wear like beanies and wear a uniform or whatever. And like, fuck that, dude. It's rock and roll. But Marshall goes, Cash, it really upset me last night when you tried to steal that $60 when Sonny left the room. And me, I'm like, I'm a mentally ill teenager at this point. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I didn't even expect to hear that accusation, let alone defended in front of 9 people. And they had already called the label, management, my family and friends, my girlfriend. They told everybody this before saying, hey, Cash, it really upset me. So like everybody had already thought I did some shit. And then they brought it to me. So I brought him out in the hallway. And I'm glad I get to say this out loud. I brought him out in the hallway and I go, why the fuck did you say that, bro? Fuck you. Like whatever was coming out of my mouth. And he goes, talk to Rob, talk to Rob. And Rob is our manager. I'm like, Rob's in New York fucking City, bro. We're like in Dulles, Washington. I'm like, what do you mean talk to our manager about this thing you just accused me about in this room over here? I wish to God somebody else was out in that hallway witnessing that conversation of him like fucking folding in front of me on this lie. But it was like, too deep and I couldn't stop thinking about Ian being gone. I couldn't stop thinking about Adam dying. I couldn't stop thinking about this chemical imbalance going on from like getting in that accident and getting pushed on these Vicodin and whatever and like a year or two of like driving every night and all these things to where I just like I went into a shower. I had what is now known to me as like an autistic meltdown. I just fucking like lost it. Like everything came out. I'm like, steam shower. I get out. I call my mom because I have to borrow money from my mother as a famous musician. That was the craziest part too, is like knowing that they're making more money than me, but then like accusing me of theft and being poor. Like, so in it's like the perfect crime, right? But I would never like, I told you, right? 2 months before getting signed, tattooing this on me, like being the guy for this, I would never steal a fucking penny from anyone, bro. So it just ultimately broke my heart, but I took it as a sign. At least now I take it as like I was unhappy. And sometimes your exit or what you like pray for doesn't come in the way. Like it didn't come on a red carpet for me, but that was the situation of like I feel like God really just being like, you want it out, bitch, and you wanted these people not around you anymore, bitch. Here you go. So that was that happened, and you know it became kind of toxic, and I don't think people understand even like I left that band after my cherry on top was being accused of stealing $60 that wasn't missing, playing sold out tours, bro. That's how immature, toxic, broken the whole thing kind of was, bro. It's fucking nuts.
What was that like for you emotionally going through that? Because you had a lot going on. It seems like you didn't have any time to, you were just so go, go, go. You had no time to process all these major things, highs and lows happening. And all of a sudden it just comes to a dead stop. You come to realize how temporary all this is, how temporary
Yep.
life is. And all of a sudden there's like this realization of, holy shit, I just went through a lot of stuff, these last couple years. I haven't slowed down. I'm heavy. Like I don't know what to do with all of this. Like how did you manage going through all of that, especially, leaving this ultimately? That had to have just felt like your whole world was crashing down.
kind of, I mean, the cherry on top is I hopped on an airplane. I didn't tell people I was coming home. And when I landed in Vegas, I went to this restaurant that I owned 10% of. And when I got to the restaurant, my homie's brother, who I just saw because he was the merch guy and whatever, and he didn't fucking stand up for me or anything. I show up, his brother's having sex with my girlfriend in the office of this restaurant right when I get to the restaurant. So like I lost all my friends, my band, and my girl in like this weird 24-hour soul sweep of life. So it felt insane. It, because everyone thinks you're a thief. Everyone thinks you just like they're not telling people Cash stole $60. Like they're saying we caught Cash stealing and leaving it very vague or something, right? So like I'm home, I'm a theft. I just lost 10% partnership in this restaurant. My girl's like has this thing where she could just now disrespect me because I quit my band. So she's just gonna fuck whoever. And then like restaurant friends, everything, right? I ended up having to go work at a fucking tropical smoothie because I had to pay rent at my mom's house. So it's like, and then they had to move me to the back because people kept coming into the tropical smoothie recognizing who I was and it was distracting customer flow. So not only am I like rock bottom, basically working at a Burger King style fucking whatever to pay some rent so I could sleep at my mom's house because my mom's like, no nonsense in that. Like, and I'm grateful for that. Like, put me into college right away. Like, tried to like at least like get a little stability for me. So, but yeah, I don't know. How would anyone else feel playing sold out arenas and then coming to work at fucking Burger King and it wasn't their fault? And they started the whole thing. It's not like I just did one tour with it. Like, this was my baby in my living room at 15 years old, celebrity weddings, yada, yada. And it ended with some piece of shit who wanted, I think, that duality that me and him had to add more depth, I guess, is like me and the singer at the time were going to the VMAs, the wedding. So this guy who had actually accused me, who was our singer's bunkmate at night, I just think he had this really vindictive, fucked up personality where he was just kind of like dark. And he probably spent time thinking of this and had this in his pocket. And like I said, the only time in 2 years I'm by myself in a hotel room with him because there's two hotel rooms. There's like me, Ian, and Johnson. We smoke weed and cigarettes. And there's these guys. They wear like contour and hang out and face chats all night. It's like two different personalities, but one band. So like the fact the fact that like you can't do that at 18 and mentally ill or 19 and mentally ill, but at 35, like no mature adult would believe that I stole $60 that was not missing and da da da. And like the more I at least tell my story, I feel like it just gives depth to where I came from, how toxic it was. I wasn't the first person to feel the urge to quit. You know, Ian had left from being bullied, being depressed, not having his own issues with these two. So it was just like him leaving was like that beginning of fall of Rome. And I'm sure I could have like said, I'm sorry I didn't do it and like let them just like call me a thief forever and stay under contract or get put a little more to the back, but still be this contracted bass player that started the band or, but like, I don't know, fuck them. Like it's pretty crazy, like understanding that. And now, like, you know, wife, married, career, like I think I just understood it took some time, but then I understood, bro, you're just about to turn 21. Like it feels like your life's over, but dog, you can't even legally drink. You have to just like find a way to understand that like life is not even close to over. You just like the last 1,000 days have just been a little fucked up. Like and getting to that place was helpful. And I think that's what ultimately did it. Like, oh, you got these Twitter followers. Let's go find a career in digital marketing when nobody was doing that, right? Like I have 15 years experience in shit that you can't get a college degree in. So yeah, trauma, this and that, you know, the good stuff, but it ultimately leads to just like you don't realize you're self-aware, but you're doing all these self-aware things like this feels wrong, fuck them. And I can at least say my entire life, I've held true to that sentiment of if this feels wrong, fuck them, period. And yeah, even if people think you're fucking cool and you're on the cover of a magazine and da da da, if it doesn't feel right, fuck them. But it's crazy, right? Like mentally ill children, no adults in the room to like really cater these conversations, no therapists, no professional help. It's like, let's get a bunch of mentally ill kids, make one of them more rich than anybody, and see what happens. And let's not have them sign contracts with us so people can't find out that we're the ones that caused this scene.
100%. I think it's really fascinating seeing how, you were able to somehow keep your head above water with this, where, 99% of people in that industry will sacrifice their integrity, their morals, and, their moral compass, their heart, their intuition to get a higher paycheck or to get, another foot in the door or to make that connection. They literally sacrifice all of who they are just to take these next steps, where for you, like, no matter what was presented to you, you somehow always were able to hold on to that part of you and not sacrifice it, or as they say in Hollywood, so, sell your soul to the devil, and I know we sort
Literally
of
that.
just started telling your story. I know there's so much more. I do want to be respectful of your time, and I wanted to check in with you because I'd love to have you back on. There's
Go a
probably
little longer because we're flowing. I got one more cup of coffee for you. If you got another 30, I got another 30. And then
okay, cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
part
let's do
two,
it.
part three, part me, whatever, right? It's
Yeah,
cool.
there's a lot of
This
good
is
stuff to.
helpful. This is helpful for me too, right? Like I know when I had first talked to you, it's like, you're probably the only person in 15 years or whatever that I've been able to have a controlled, emotion-free conversation about just like my experiences. Um, and I think it's important that everybody, I just want to say this, right? Like I disappeared from age 30 to about 35 public front facing and realized the things that I needed to kind of fix in my life, right? So there's a lot of self-awareness involved in this. And like I think if you can lose the emotional part of things, I couldn't do it at age 20, but like 15 years later, I recognize all this shit for what it was. But like, just know that like logic matters, right? Like, if you take the emotion out of most things and think about them just for like the 1 + 1 + 1, it always equals fucking three. And I think some people try to convince themselves that it doesn't. Like, if I ever brought up that story of the sick. Those guys haven't talked to me in 15 years, by the way. There's a reason, right? Because the fuck are they going to say to this healed ass version of myself who understands exactly what they did to me? You got nothing, bro. Like, tell me you didn't take 55%. Tell me you didn't lie on me because you were jealous that I was going to the VMAs or whatever. Like, tell me that shit. Tell me that I stole $60 from something I put my whole life into. You know what I mean? Like, they can't. And like, guess the only way to feel better when you can't sometimes like I'll say this too, right? Because I've shit on them a bunch a little bit, right? I would love nothing more than as 35-year-old men and fathers. Come on, give Cash a hug, bro. It's all good. Because I think that's true healing. And I think both sides in any situation could benefit from that. Even if you were the one who did something wrong, like 20 years later, 30, like I think actions cause reactions. Like what's being held up in their life from not revisiting this with a hug, right? Like I feel like I'm okay, but also I don't understand the limitations in my life going on from not closing that with a hug. Hey guys, we were 18, mentally ill, money, fame, celebrities. Looking back on it all, I totally get it. I'm happy that I was not a part of all that in that aspect. I did not want that. And you guys went there. Totally cool. But 35, father, sober, you want to hug and say, thanks for the memories. What's up, dog? Like, I'm cool with that. But we will talk about it for a second, right? And like, I think not enough people are interested in that part. And that's what keeps me at 35, sober, married, in control of my emotions. It keeps a lot of people from my past away from me because yeah, we're going to talk about it. I'm not mad. You ain't going to get this emotional wreck, but like if we can't have a Zoom call like this being like, you did that, right? Like why'd you let it drag out? So or what was the mindset? Like it's cool like to not hold any weight towards that and just maybe like you do with these conversations. Like I like how you paint stuff sometimes. Like, can you paint the mindset? Can you like what you were going through in this time in this place? Like what was going through your head? I don't care if somebody says, look, man, I just wanted you fucking gone. I don't care. I want that. But until people can get there, and I don't think a lot of people will, you're gonna have a lot of people with unhealed trauma if you can't find a way to just accept that sometimes bad shit's gonna happen to you. You're never gonna get your sorries. I've been waiting 15 years for an explanation, right? You're never gonna get it. So if anything, and I could say this while it's being recorded, right? I love them. I forgive them. I don't hold anything against them. And I understand exactly what happened. And it's okay. And there's no hate in my heart. You can't kill the boy. The boy turned out fine. And now I love that I've gone through a bunch of shit and can advocate for autistic children. That's it.
How did you, at that young age, what was your process like for contending with all of this that was happening at once?
The only way I kind of knew from maybe it carried over from, that single child lifestyle or whatever. Like I'd always been and I'm still this way to today is like, how do I fill my time? How do I work? So I was actually managing a band called Play for Keeps and back to like spiritual alignment. Their bass player was having to leave on his Mormon mission. Right during this time going on in the cab. So my brain, 1 + 1 + 1 = 3. I joined this band that I was managing as the bass player. Took them far, did well, great records. Actually, a couple deals were presented, but it got to this point where we did a show once and they ran their mouth on me or something, and they were doing my old band, The Cab, had gotten into their head, and they started saying shit like, well, he's not even that good at bass or da 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 da. And I'm just like, they bit the hand that fed them. So Ian had called me and he was about to quit Panic at the Disco and he was very depressed living in Long Beach. So I said, fuck them. And this was the summer of like 2011, maybe at this point, 2012. I quit that band, Play for Keeps, took off to Long Beach. And that was probably the beginning of, we'll call the 4 to 5 years to start dealing with it. A couple years after I had left, because I was still in a band. I'd walk around, I'd play the shows. Shows were doing well, getting paid. Very easy to go from like touring the world to back to your hometown and being in a band. Like people were coming, it was cool. But yeah, they were biting the hands that fed them. And yeah, I still don't even really talk to those dudes to this day because it's like they get it now. And I've had conversations with one guy, I won't say his name, and he apologized and he said some nice things to me. But yeah, just don't like that situation I explained with the other thing. Don't forget why you got there, or don't forget who cared about you when nothing was happening. When don't forget who took this from here to here and understand that like that person can make it go from here to here. And the Cab saw the effects of that when I left. They got dropped from their record label. They have not had a record label since. That Play for Keeps band, I know, felt the effects of it because you remove business from any business. It doesn't matter how good a song is. It doesn't matter this and that. It's like you take away that entity that's like fucking with the doctors and lawyers and all the high level people, talking to the managers and being the guy who answers every call, being the guy who's doing the tweets and the promoting and you take away the guy who understands the workflow of what actually goes into the day to day, it'll fall apart. It doesn't even matter. Like it doesn't matter if I was a bad bass player, which I don't think I am. I ain't flee from the fucking whatever. My job was to play the same 6 songs every day for 3 years. Like how fucking, you know what I mean? Like let's stop that because you're not a singer. Like everyone just always goes to the bass player's not that good. It's like the bass player plays 4 fucking notes. Get the fuck out of here. So when you're attacking that low on somebody who is like obviously turning heads in the room, like a guy named Cash who's tattooed and shooting Roman candles at people. And like I was this thing that I was supposed to be. And if I was accepted for what I was supposed to be, this media mogul manager talking fucking Pete Wentz-esque thing for a band. Pete Wentz, worst bass player in the entire planet. Fucking awful. Doesn't even record his shit. Patrick does. Who cares? They understand that. It's a business. There's not one fan of Fall Out Boy talking about how Pete sucks at bass. It's all just garbage. It's all just a bunch of noise. Pete Wentz is an impactful, impressful person. Like, that's it. Impressful, impressing, impactful, and impressing person. And I wish people held on to the value of what people bring to the table more than like these little substandards of like what they think they should just say. Like if the Cab got a better bass player, and guess what happened? People stopped liking the Cab as much. It had nothing to do with like whatever that was, right? It had to do with the five people they fell in love with. So I can't stand like these when we were young concerts and shit. I don't want to see just the singer with four new dudes I've never met singing songs that I want to see the people that were on my posters when I was a fucking kid. Do the contracts right. Get the original people back together. Like, fuck this money making machine. They're all trash. They're all trash. I say it. Like, it's all bullshit. No one, these bands don't care about their fans. These guys just haven't gotten a check in 15 years. That's the only reason why they're coming to this concert. They're irrelevant and they can't accept that. And that's okay.
Did you ever go through that identity crisis of feeling like your entire world and your identity was just stripped from you after leaving the band? Did you deal with some emotions on that side or some things that, internally were really conflicting with, oh my gosh, because I just try to picture being that young and going through all that. I had no idea who I was at, 18, 19, 20. And the few things that I did know about myself, like I held on for dear life. Like I would have been just so crushed if those things would have been pulled away from me, those things that sparked me up, and I try to think about what that's like going through that in like the public eye and having people watching you. Social media is, starting to come online so people can talk and you can go see what people are saying. And I'd love to hear kind of like what that was like for you.
Yeah, I think what's overwhelming is like I said, is like people playing the telephone game thing. And I don't think they took into consideration that lie of like how that would affect me for a very long time. Like there was for a very long time, I had to have these individual conversations with a lot of people. Like I didn't steal. Like that's a very interesting thing to do to somebody's reputation, is to like make them a liar or a cheater or a thief or a it's so like so the ramifications of like that, because like I said, it wasn't a number, right? They weren't saying Cash stole $60 and then like freaked out. Like they're saying like Cash stole money and he got kicked out. Like I left after being falsely accused of money that wasn't missing because they counted the money. It's like fucking so like I think it just hurt a lot, and it like put this wall up, right? Like even in my jobs today, like even today, like I won't give myself access to credit cards at companies. And like because I don't trust people. It has nothing to do with like anything other than like I never want to be put in a situation where somebody could falsely accuse me ever again. I think a lot of victims of trauma go through this. They put up these walls of like, so I've made tens of millions of dollars for people. I have high level digital marketing jobs, but I won't ever input. I tell my bosses, they know this story. So I'm just like, hey, it's not you, it's me. It's just like, this happened when I was a kid. I'm a little fucked in the head. It's just like, oh, we would never. I go, yeah. And I thought these dudes that like I started a band with would never, right? Like, I don't, I like, it's not you, it's me. But at least like being transparent like that, people can understand it, because you don't know what something feels like until like you're really falsely accused of something. Like, and at least it wasn't something like, and I'm sure if it was 2024 and people were throwing around these harsher words and accusations, I might have been accused of something like that, because it was just like they knew how to get me. They knew what would hurt. It was very calculated, and they knew the position they were in. I didn't have money in the cab. Neither did Alex Johnson in the room with me, or the guy who bought the pizza that night. That, like, he didn't even have $20 on him, so he had to borrow 20 from merch to buy us pizza. The only reason the money was out is so the merch guy could take $20 from it. So how did that turn into I took anything? In the 3 minutes that he went downstairs to get pizza and come back up, you caught me stealing money, and then I put it back. That we're gonna go with that, right? So until you learned that some people just do stupid fucking shit, you'll go in circles and circles. Like, I spent a year being like, I want to prove my innocence. Then you're just like, consider the source. Consider who fucking accused me. And like, maybe, just maybe, if I remain my solid self that everybody knows that I am. And then I started getting the mindset, well, if I'm gone, Johnson's going to be next, who ultimately, the drummer, he left about a year later. Now it's just the two of them, and they fight all the time. So like, no matter what, I wasn't the problem. Um, I saw lawsuits on the internet. They've actually, they're still in a band together, and they've sued each other. It's like, it's just this like power grabbing, fucking weird, lying on, manipulative, blackmail, fucking whatever. But like, I know who I am when I go to bed at night, and I know the things that I do, and I know what I'm capable of. And I'm glad an accusation of stealing $60 that wasn't missing didn't define my personality for the rest of my life. And this trauma of it all, right? Like, it's fucked. So to answer your question, it was fucked up. I was too immature to be accused of something like that. There should have been adults around us interrogating us, right? Like, no one even like really like questioned any of it. We should have flown to New York and sat in a meeting with managers so I could be like, I didn't do it. And 30 minutes after that, we would have realized I didn't do it, because he would have cracked. He is a liar. But it wasn't about me. It was about getting the least amount of people involved with a project that was going to get pushed forward by a machine that was just finished its debut record, got enough fans, sold a couple 100,000 records, and had just enough clout to do a record with a radio hit. Because every band does that first record, get some fans, then they get picked up by a machine, and they drop some single that blows your mind. Every band is like that. Fall Out Boy did Take This to Your Grave, toured around, then boom, Sugar, We're Going Down. Panic at the Disco, it just happened with their first song. But Paramore did that whole fucking record. That song Pressure was kind of big, couple 100,000 fans, then boom, the fucking Riot album. I was a part of that same system, and they, Paramore, they lost the guitarist boyfriend that she started the band with. Panic at the Disco, Ryan Ross and Brendan Urie are no longer attached to each other. The Cab, Alex DeLeon and Cash Colligan. So however they do it each single time, it just gets done. Unless you're Fall Out Boy, the people at the top who understand that when you do that, it'll break people apart. It's weird that the band that pushes everyone to do this doesn't do it themselves. It's like doctors who don't vaccinate their kids telling you to vaccinate your kid. It's fucking diabolical. It's a little insane, and it's definitely like, it's dark. They know what they're doing. And to act like they're not is fucking crazy. Like, you could have no base knowledge of the music industry, and everything I just said is like just a straightforward, exact depiction of how this shit actually happens.
What advice and guidance would you give to aspiring artists, people who want to be in the entertainment industry or who just want to get into a career that might put them in the public eye like you were, and to have the potential of being taken advantage of or exploited by people around them and maybe it's not on their radar. What guidance would you give to people who, want to take a similar path to you?
I think accidentally I ended up on a path that was way more than I could have ever asked for. I think maybe a small indie deal and touring the country with my friends and grinding would have been a much more pleasurable experience. You're going to get a lot more impact in your life by having 100 of the right people versus like 100,000 likes. I think less is more after going through this experience. And I could speak on that even now. Like, I got a couple hundred people that will always fuck with me, and that is always going to be more valuable than, let's say, producing another song that 20, like, because what does that do in a world where people don't buy records, right? At least when I was touring, it was the first year iTunes came out and it was the iPhone 1, right? Like we sold hundreds of thousands of albums. No, none of you independent artists are going to do that and have hundreds of thousands of people holding what you create. So finding paths, concerts, find 20 people that love you, charge them $10 to watch you perform a concert on the internet. Curate this audience that matters, because everyone has a niche. You could think your song sucks. I promise 6 people will like it. And really give those 6 people your time of day. And don't think you need 20 people. Don't ever think that who's paying attention to you isn't enough, because one person a day is 365 people a year, right? Like grow that way. In 10 years, that's thousands of people, right? But they're actively engaged with you. They know you, you know them. That is if you want to make a career out of this, start doing some math, right? I need $4,000 a month to be alive. That's 400 people, $10 a month. Build value there as an artist. Maybe you build packages, find ways to incorporate them, give them a song every month for free for subscribing to you. Like build your own internal system for you. The industry in itself, it's fucking dead. It's gone. You already see these streamers being more popular than Lady Gaga or something. It's like the whole world is fucking weird now. There is no such thing as like a celebrity per se, unless you want to get sucked into a system where ultimately you're going to do things against your character on purpose. That's the only reason you want to enter it. You want a little bit of money. You're okay with being a little sexual. You're okay with being exploited. You're okay with, you're okay with doing shit like Kim Kardashian does and being naked on a thing and breaking the internet. Like you're okay with this indecency. If you're okay with that, fire away. They'll take you. You work hard enough and you show up at the right party and fuck the right person, they'll take you. I promise. You can have all of this. You can have everything that I just said. You can go through all these terrible things that I just told you if you do the right things. But if your whole goal is to live off your art and never lose yourself, one person at a time. Don't go to the labels. Don't go to a manager who knows a guy who knows a guy. They all just want to exploit you. It's not about your talent. It's about your money. Because at the end of the day, if all of you were super talented, you wouldn't be taking your clothes off at parties with men. You wouldn't be going to these rooms. You wouldn't be in a van accident and being told shut the fuck up and go back on tour. You wouldn't be having contracts that don't make sense, or contracts with management companies that are non-existent. You wouldn't see your money first. Like I come from a world where I was making $500-$600 after a 3-month tour playing sold out arenas. There's independent artists doing 200 cap rooms coming home with 50 grand. So do it yourself, do it independent. It's going to take a while. And right when you think you're going to give up, go a little harder for a little longer. And whatever you're looking for, it will happen. But you can't put your career in the arms of people who have a system, and that system is based around one thing only, which is profitability. They don't fucking care about you. They don't care about your art. They don't care about your songs. Your songs suck. They don't care about none of that. They care, do you look young enough and can we sell you? That's it. That's it. Look at that One Direction guy. Rest in peace. That motherfucker just killed himself. Let's be real about it. You want to end up there? Go for it. You're not going to have a good time. It's not going to be what you expect, and it will fucking end.
Great advice. One of the other things I wanted to ask you, because being in the public eye too, whether you're a whistleblower or whether you're an entertainer, there's going to be people that combat you. There's going to be people that don't want you doing what you're doing, that aren't happy that you're successful. There's going to be trolls online. How do you navigate that? And how did you navigate that in your own time, having to deal with rumors circulating about you and, people that loved you and hated you? What guidance can you give, and how did you navigate that in your career?
Consider the source. At the end of the day, I gave a background on some of these people, and like I just had to realize like, I got lied on. Um, and anyone who wants to take that lie, it's cool. Um, who I was before that is the same as I am now. I know who I am when I go to bed. I know that the noise doesn't really affect me. I was just part of everyone's talking points that day of the people who like to talk about other people. They don't matter. Um, and time is your best friend. 15 years removed from this, if I would have emotionally reacted to a bunch of shit, like I did lighting all their shit on fire and making that music video when they dropped an album. Um, if I would have continued that path, it just would have been toxic because now I'm in a position where, let's say they still are a band, they're fighting with each other. All the things I knew that would happen did happen. And like, just hold on to that. Sometimes it takes a while for people to understand a full truth. But that doesn't make it any less true. And I don't think you have to fight for that truth to come to light. I think, uh, the cream always rises to the top. I think light always does end up peeking itself through darkness. It just might not be when you think it'll be. And like, you have to find a better way to realize, like, I don't know, like, fuck them. Like, I don't care what people think. I know who I am. Like, bro, I'm chilling here next to a freaking photo of Jesus, bro. Like, I don't give a shit. I got a Zen in, a nice warm cup of coffee. My family loves me. Like, here's this, like this coffee mug. This coffee mug says, like, fuck you, cash. You're garbage. I'll say it every day. And this was a guy I gave a free NFT to, and then he deleted the tweet when he realized he made a mistake. But this is just a reminder of like how unhinged people are, and they don't say things they mean. They're dealing with their own mental illness. And just protect yourself from people who don't have their shit together. Like I don't have my shit together, but I at least recognize, like, I think everybody's fucked up, just like everybody doesn't admit it. Right? Like I'm okay with admitting I'm a little fucked up. Like I've been through some shit. To act like I'm not fucked up or like turn myself into a guru like all these dumbasses that drop Facebook ads and like come with me and I've been through things and I was a monk for 3 years. And like shut the fuck up. It's like you don't need to teach people after you've healed, right? You don't need to monetize your healing. You don't need to anything. But when you can have a real conversation with someone and just be like, bro, it gets better. It gets better if you work, ain't nobody going to change it. Please don't buy a dummy course off of some dummy. They're just coming at you from their perspective. I think my story can maybe help someone, but at the end of the day, that's not my fucking point here. My point is, it's a very selfish want to be here to have a conversation about my life with somebody who interviews people about this type of shit. Um, that's it. Just, and if you have those moments to talk, you should, because the way I talk about it now is not the same way I talked about it 15 years ago. Every conversation helps. Every time you discover a little bit more about who you are, what you could be, or what you want to be when you eventually figure out where you want to go. And until it's defined, you're going to always feel lost. If you're stuck in trauma, you're always going to feel lost. The past is gone. Future ain't here. I don't know what I'm doing 20 minutes from now. I know an hour and a half from now, I get to have a lovely meal with my wife and talk about just being married for 10 years. And hold on to those things. Like, I think a lot of people probably have more good in their life than bad. They just like, we're so used to letting the 20% outweigh the 80%. Like, you're breathing. You got a cell phone, shut the fuck up. Like there's kids with like fucking E. coli in other countries, like pulling worms out of the dirt so they can get some protein today. Like just shut the fuck up. Perspective matters. You might have been through some trauma, but like sometimes it's first world trauma, and like you're blessed enough to be in a country that allows these fucking problems to happen. Like your power went out. What about never having power? Like try to understand, especially if you're listening in America, understand how fucking spoiled you are. You get to talk about your rights. You get to advocate for things you don't believe in. Like, go to another country and talk about like your sexual preference or talk about anything out. Like, I think the world's a little jaded like that. Like, And maybe I've seen one too many real things to understand the world don't give a fuck about me. It's not the world's job. It's not the world's job to care about me. It's not the world's job to feel bad for me. It's nobody's job to do nothing with me. And I think too many people depend on validity from people that have nothing to fucking do with them to move their life forward. And that part's crazy. Ain't nobody gonna do it but yourself. And if you need help getting to that mindset, get all the fucking help you need. Go to therapy. It's not always medication. Sometimes people just need to talk. Go to the gym. If when I quit drinking, I went and got a pit bull. I had an emotional support animal. It really helped me out a lot just to like be sad sometimes with my dog. Like, find ways. But like if you expect to create something and the only way you think is gonna be like me, I advocate for autistic children. It's not cool. Nobody thinks it's cool. Nobody's cheering me on. It will never derail that. I don't care. Even when I dropped and I did a party, I dropped $2,000 on these kids. We ended up on the news. I didn't even fucking like tweet about it, bro. Like I don't like live because you're alive, not because you want to show people you're alive. It's fucking gay. I'm a 90s kid, whatever, take whatever from it, but I'll say it's fucking gay. Like, don't be like that. Like, just be alive, bro. You hit the lotto. Like, two people got together one time and you showed up. Like, enjoy that. It's very limited. And as a guy who came from a completely different life 15 years ago, who will have a completely different life 15 years from now, enjoy that part. You are not your past. Literally, literally not your past. And I've gone so long where like I now people find out on a whim that I was in a band, right? I'm not Cash from the Cab 15 years after it, right? The stories help. They're good to talk about, but and without that experience, maybe I wouldn't be where I'm at 35 because it is a maturing thing you go through. But like I ain't special. Like I ain't no fucking I ain't different than you. I ain't different than nobody. It's just like stick to what's important. Don't show your butthole on the internet and call out pedophiles. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's cool. It's okay. I don't have a lot of friends, but like, I used to think that was a depiction of me, but it turns out there's just a lot of nasty people on there and I have my walls up. And if you do something that I don't like, I just stop talking to you. Sometimes you don't even get a notice. Sometimes it's just like, oh, that guy stopped talking to me a couple years ago. It's fine. You shouldn't have done that weird thing. But all these people don't ask you why you stopped talking to them because they know what they do. And that should be enough for people. You don't need validity. If somebody hurts you, that's it. Don't advocate for it. Move on and heal from it. You don't need to make it better with them and get some validity that oh well they took it back and said sorry. Who fucking cares? Fuck them in the horse they ride on. You don't need them. We
I think
did good. That's a good sentiment.
that was a good sentiment. I was going to
I
say,
think
what
that
a
sets us
great,
up for part two.
it does. I was going to say, what a great place to end. Some words of wisdom here, some hope. And it's really beautiful to see how you've transitioned from, being an insecure and depressed person who went through so much, and to where you're at now and that at such a young.
Bullied all the time, took people's words at value, let words hurt me, let being accused of something I didn't do spiral my whole life out of control. Yeah, bro, like, but learn from that. Be like, why did that spiral me? Oh, because I was hurt, because I would never do it. And all the things I did for them. That's why it hurt so much. That's just an understanding of who I am as a person versus them, not like I don't need to prove to them I'm a good person. I don't need the validity of I didn't do it. It's just like consider the source. Fuck you guys. That's it. And it's okay to be like that. It doesn't make me a mean person. I'm gonna leave the house today. If something crosses my path where a blessing is and so, that's why I keep cash on me. I keep cigarettes on me. I keep a little nugget of weed on me. It's like whatever that person needs if I cross paths with them. But like go exist with people. Go be, you know, WWJD, right? Like go be more godlike. What would Jesus do? What would, wouldn't do half this shit. Wouldn't show his butthole on OnlyFans for 20 grand a month. I know that, right? So like consider that source and hold on to your faith and your values. And if you don't lose sight of who you are and you stay consistent, I think that's how you can ultimately reach your goals.
And I know you have so much that you're doing now, and I want to talk about, how you dealt later on in life, and you made a diss song about the band, which we didn't even get to today. So we have a
I
lot.
released it on the day that they dropped their album.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and they didn't know it was coming, but that's what you get for announcing your album release date 6 months in advance and giving me plenty of time.
And so we're going to have a lot of juicy stuff to talk about next time, including I want to get into the autism advocacy work that you do too, because that's another topic that I think we're grossly misinformed about and, feel helpless about. And there's actually a lot that we can do. And you're sort of paving the way for, being able to show people how they can step in and help. And so I really want to talk about that in your digital marketing career and, all the things that you've done since then. But where can
And
people find you on social media to connect with you now?
the voice of cash everywhere, every handle, every network, the voice of cash. Feel free to message, email. WeBearish.com hosts our advocacy stuff. But yeah, part two, maybe we'll dive into what this emo culture is really about. And part three, then yeah, we can start talking about these kids because that's the most important thing to me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know that there's a lot that we can talk about. So I'm really excited to have you back on, and I appreciate you so much. It's been an honor having you on, Cash. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you as well. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.
And for you guys listening, I'll have all Cash's links in the show notes. I'll have all mine also. We really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Thank you so much. We can't do this without you. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.
God bless y'all.